Facebook Live. This is Wednesday, January 24th, and today we are going to be talking about 3 strategies to show up at work to help you create that next advancement opportunity. When I started this conversation on Monday, I didn't really fully understand the magnitude of how this was going to take off. So I want to simply acknowledge and thank everyone who's either pressed a like or a love button on this whole concept of how we show up, but also to those of you who've either posted on either LinkedIn or on the Facebook page here, or even just simply emailed me after you got my email broadcast this week. It's just been really, I think, empowering to see how different people define what showing up in the workplace looks like. So I'm looking forward to today's conversation and really happy that everybody's kind of hopping on and joining. So welcome, everyone. If you haven't had a chance, check out my website, johnneral.com. All right, so let's go ahead and just jump right into this. And as we talk about showing up, I want to tell you a little story and tell you about an experience this weekend I had while I was on some work travel. So I was staying over at a hotel and walk into the hotel and meet the customer service representative at the front desk. Her name was Amy. And right away it was, "Hi, how are you? Welcome. Hope you enjoy your stay here." She was energetic, enthusiastic. She was resourceful. She was helpful. It was all about making sure that my stay was as pleasant as possible. And every time I went back through the lobby to either go out to my car, get a cup of coffee, whatever it was, she was there at the front desk and it was, "Hi, Mr. Neral, how are you? And is there anything I can do for you?" And I was like, "No, Amy, thanks. Everything's great." I was so impressed with how she showed up. And it was her energy and her presence in doing her job and doing it so well that at that moment, I felt like I was the only one that mattered in her line of sight, that her focus was to make sure I was having a pleasant experience at her hotel. And when I got back, I got the survey from the hotel and I filled that out. But I also made it a point to email the manager directly and let him know what a great job Amy does and how attentive and supportive his whole entire staff were during my visit. So when I'm talking about showing up, I'm talking about how we as professionals go into the workplace and we have this energy or presence that really attracts other people in how we want to work with and they want to work with us, instead of being the kind of person where we just want to avoid, right? So take a moment right now and just kind of think about who are the people you work with every single day that you really enjoy working with, and think also about the moment about the people whom you don't like working with, okay? Because I think it's important to acknowledge that too, because there's something about them and our relationship with them where we just essentially kind of avoid and push them back, and we don't really want to work with them. All right, so I have for you today 3 strategies to help you show up as you go ahead and create that next advancement opportunity. So whatever that advancement opportunity for you looks like, be it new responsibilities, promotion, getting promoted internally, finding a new job elsewhere, here's 3 strategies I think you'll find pretty helpful. All right, so number 1 is to be seen and to be resourceful. I can't place enough emphasis on the fact that being seen and being visible in the workplace is really, really important. I'm going to talk about this from 2 particular vantage points. So you are an on-site employee. Somebody schedules a meeting and they send out a WebEx link or a GoToMeeting link for that, and you decide to not physically show up in the room because you're just going to go ahead and listen in and multitask while the meeting is going on, and you don't let the meeting organizer know you're not going to show up. I think that's kind of a bad move. I think it's really, really important that if you are kind of overwhelmed and you need to multitask, you at least need to clear it with the meeting organizer first. I've seen way too many young professionals make the mistake of sitting in their office during a meeting and not being physically present and truly missing out on opportunities to be seen by executive leadership or people whom are looking at them for the work that they're doing or considering them for opportunities. So it's really, really important to be seen. For remote employees, there are plenty of ways for you to stay in contact and be seen with people in your organization. One of them, quite simply, is turning the video camera on and having a video conference with a colleague. This way, it's a much different environment like we have right here, where you can see me. I can't see you at this point, but you can see me and you can at least see how I'm physically showing up today with really, hopefully you're finding an energy and an enthusiasm about what we're talking about, okay? There's also an opportunity to stay connected on a daily basis, if not by video, certainly by email, by phone, so you are not forgotten about when you're remote. Years ago, Susie Orman, a financial guru who I'm sure you probably have heard of, wrote a book called The Money Guide for the Young, Fabulous, and Broke. And the point of the book was really as a guide to help young professionals get their foot in the workplace and also to start making some pretty sound decisions about what their financial status was going to look like. And she acknowledged that when young professionals go into an organization, they want to move up the ladder pretty quickly. They want to go ahead and get noticed and move up. And she said, you know, the best investment in your career, and I have found this to be true whether you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, or 50s, is you need to show up and you need to be seen and be visible. So if your work hours are 9 to 5, you need to get in an hour early and stay an hour late as often as possible. You need to be hands-on. You need to be asking for more work. You need to be making sure that the work you're doing is of high quality and being resourceful and an extension of yourself so other people in the organization get to know you and get to know the work you're capable of doing. The other thing is, and I'm going to steal a line from my last boss, who was a VP for the company I worked with. She would always say, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. So when I talk about being seen and being resourceful, I'm a big proponent of soft skills in the workplace. So it's acknowledging people in the hallway. It's saying hello. It's asking people, hey, how are things going? And not doing it as a way of kind of getting past them, you know, kind of like shooting past them in the hallway. Hey, how's it going? But if you really want to know, to be really mindful and intentional about that and ask and to listen. You know, work is everything in the workplace, but so is how we show up and the presence that we give to our colleagues and our leadership so we can truly get noticed and be valued for the work that we're doing. Okay. So number 2 is to communicate. And I want to get really, really specific with you about how I define communication in the workplace and what that looks like for advancement opportunities. I found over the years that so many problems in the workplace stem from a lack of communication. People either don't know how to have the right conversation or they're simply afraid of it. And it's easier for them to just avoid it, thinking that, well, it'll go away and I don't have to worry about it. Okay. So being able to communicate is to make sure that anytime you're given an assignment, you clearly know what's expected of you. It's also about being able to give feedback and to receive feedback. So let's break that down for a second. I'm a firm believer that when we give feedback, we do it for 2 reasons. And to quote Sherry Harley from her book, How to Say Anything to Anyone, it's that we give feedback to either maintain behavior or shift behavior. And there's ways we can deliver those conversations in a way that truly is designed to either help a colleague maintain that behavior, hey, great job, keep it going, or to shift their behavior. Hey, the next time you get this assignment, we need to do it this way, and to be really, really explicit about how you are spelling all of that out. But there's also a big piece about receiving feedback. Like, think about it. Have you ever given feedback to someone and you've seen them roll their eyes, or they lean back in the chair and they cross their arms and they completely seem disengaged because they have absolutely no interest in what it is that you're saying? We have to own how we receive feedback and how we give it. And when I talk about communication and creating that next advancement opportunity, internal opportunities that exist, how we handle those situations based on our communication is looked at very strongly by leadership. They are looking at how we show up and how we deliver information with clear and specific guidelines, a detailed timeline and expectation for delivery, and then an opportunity to learn lessons from what it is that we've learned throughout the project. Okay, so without being a good communicator, I think it's difficult for us to show up in a way that we truly want, unless our intentions are to show up and be completely disengaged, which is a completely different conversation in and of itself. Okay. And lastly, when I talk about communication, I'm asking you to really be someone who people want on their team. Okay. You know, when a big project comes up or someone needs help in doing something, be that person that people want to reach out to. Okay. Be someone with whom people want to connect with as opposed to disconnecting with. The last thing is networking. All right. So you've heard the whole phrase about how it only depends on who you know. And I'm going to say that's absolutely true. I think how we network and how we get to know people is really, really important. Now, you can certainly network with a new connection on LinkedIn, someone maybe whom you've never met. But again, in that networking chance or a networking opportunity is how you show up, right? So when we network, it's all about thinking about really understanding and knowing what we're really good at. Because when we know what we're really good at, when we have that defined level of expertise, we can then leverage that. We can leverage that in situations where people are going to be like, yeah, you know that guy, John, he's a go-to. I need to go to him for X, Y, and Z. I can go ahead and do that, all right? I've always looked at my colleagues and my direct reports as knowing what their expertise was and leveraging that as much as possible when things would come up, okay? In the same vein in networking, I think we also have to know what it is we want to learn or even what it is we're not good at. Okay, because that then gives us an opportunity to go to someone and to say, I'm really interested in learning this. So how can I have that opportunity to do that, right? We are always trying to figure out what our best fit is, okay? I'm a firm believer that you can have an expertise in one area, but to have expertise in a dozen areas really makes you a generalist. So if you want to be a general expert, that's great. I think those talents and skills are desperately needed. But if you can lay a stake in the ground for one thing, that allows you to network and build your network so you can start creating these various advancement opportunities for you, be it either in the workplace or outside of your organization if you're looking to jump ship and find a new job somewhere else. That may mean some new responsibilities, some additional promotional potential, and also an increase in compensation, perhaps. The last thing here is about leveraging, right? So if I'm networking, I want to make sure that I'm leveraging my talents, okay? Leveraging them so anybody knows you become that go-to person. I remember on one of my previous jobs, I was always the go-to when someone needed to have a difficult conversation with someone. And they'd come to my office, they'd ask if we could talk, they'd close the door because it was a confidential conversation. And they'd be like, "You're really good at handling these things. How do I do this?" And we could have a conversation around that. It's where we define our value, and we leverage our talents and our expertise in that arena. So what's it for you, right? I'm asking you to figure out exactly what it is you're really, really good at, and then being able to leverage that in terms of networking and how you show up. So yeah, so let me just go back over these three things again really quickly about how it is we show up. Okay, so number one was about being seen and being resourceful. So being present as often as possible, and being attentive and engaged in the meeting, the conversation, the work opportunity, whatever that is. For those of you who are working directly with clients, I'm willing to bet you'll agree with me that if your client doesn't feel they're being attended to and serviced in the proper way, they're going to let you know. So it's really, really important that we be seen and be resourceful in our work as we show up. The second thing was all about communication and how we make sure that our communication is done intentionally, especially when it comes to giving and receiving feedback. And the third thing was networking, making sure that we understand exactly what we're really good at, leveraging our talents and expertise, and then using that to network with as many people as possible for additional opportunities or learning opportunities to help us figure out what that next advancement for ourselves will look like. Again, feel free to check out my website, johnnyarrow.com, for more additional information.